Section 13 of Poems of American History, the Colonial Era. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recorded by Greg Giordano, Newport Richey, Florida. Poems of American History, the Colonial Era, Chapter 3, The Settlement of Virginia, Part 4. In 1676, the colony was shaken by a struggle which presaged that other one which was to occur just a century later. An Indian war had broken out along the frontier, but Governor Berkeley disbanded the forces gathered to repress it. Whereupon a young man named Nathaniel Bacon gathered a force of his own, marched against the Indians, and was proclaimed a rebel and traitor by the royal governor, who had collected at Jamestown a force of nearly 1,000 men. Bacon, after a campaign in which the hostile Indians were practically wiped out of existence, marched back to Jamestown and besieged the place. After a sally in which he was repulsed, Berkeley sailed away and left the town to its fate. Bacon entered it next morning, September 19, 1676, and, deciding that he could not hold it, set fire to it that evening. It was totally destroyed. The Burning of Jamestown, September 19, 1676. Mad Berkeley believed, with his gay cavaliers, and the ruffians he brought from the Accomac shore, he could ruffle our spirit by rousing our fears, and lord it again as he lorded before. It was "Traitors, be dumb!" and "Surrender, ye scum!" And that Bacon, our leader, was rebel he swore. A rebel not he was true to the throne. For the king at a word he would lay down his life, but to listen unmoved to the piteous moan, when the redskin was plying the hatchet and knife, and shrink from the fray was not the man's way. It was Berkeley, not Bacon, who stirred up the strife. On the outer plantations the savages burst, and scattered around desolation and woe. And Berkeley, possessed by some spirit accursed, forbade us to deal for our kinsfolk a blow. Though when, weapons in hand, we made our demand, he sullenly suffered our forces to go. Then while we were doing our work for the crown, and risking our lives in the perilous fight, he sent lying messengers out, up and down, to denounce us as outlaws, mere malice and spite. Then from Accomac's shore brought 1,000 or more, who swaggered the country around day and night. Returning in triumph, instead of reward, for the marches we made and the battles we won, there were threats of the fetters, or bullet, or sword. Were these a fair guerdon for what we had done? When this madman abhorred, appealed to the sword, and our leader said fight, did he think we would run? Battle-scarred, and a handful of men as we were, we feared not to combat with lord or with loan. So we took the old wretch at his word, that was fair. But he dared not come out from his hold in the town, where he lay with his men, like a wolf in his den, and in siege of the place we sat steadily down. He made a fierce sally, his force was so strong, he thought the mere numbers would put us to flight, but we met in close column his ruffianly throng, and smote it so sore that we filled him with fright. Then while ready we lay for the storming next day, he embarked in his ships, and escaped in the night. The place was our own. Could we hold it? Why, no. Not if Berkeley should gather more force and return. But one course was left us to baffle the foe. The birds would not come if the nest we should burn. So the red crackling fire climbed to rooftop and spire, a lesson for black-hearted Berkeley to learn. That our torches destroyed what our fathers had raised on that beautiful isle, is it matter of blame? That the houses we dwelt in, the church where they praised the God of our fathers, we gave to the flame? That we smiled when there lay smoking ruins next day, and nothing was left of the town but its name? We won, but we lost when brave Nicholas died. The spirit that nerved us was gone from us then, and Berkeley came back in his arrogant pride to give to the gallows the best of our men. But while the grass grows and the clear water flows, the town shall not rise from its ashes again. So, you come for your victim, I'm ready, but pray, ere I go, some good fellow a full goblet bring. Thanks, comrade, now hear the last words I shall say. With the last drink I take, here's a health to the King, who reigns o'er our land, where against his command the rogues rule and ruin, while honest men swing. Thomas Dunn English. Jamestown soon avenged itself. Before Bacon left the place, he was ill with fever, and on the first day of October, at the house of a friend in Gloucester County, he surrendered up that fort he was no longer able to keep into the hands of the grim and all-conquering captain, Death. His death was celebrated in a poem which is perhaps the most brilliant example of sustained poetic art produced in colonial America. It was written by his man, of whom absolutely nothing is known. Bacon's Epitaph, made by his man, October 1, 1676. Death, why so cruel? What, no other way to manifest thy spleen, but thus to slay our hopes of safety, liberty, our all, which through thy tyranny with him must fall. To its late chaos had thy rigid force been dealt by retail, and not thus in gross. Grief had been silent, now we must complain, since thou in him hast more than thousands slain, whose lives and safeties did so much depend. On him their life, with him their lives must end. If 't be a sin to think death bribed can be, we must be guilty, say 'twas bribery. Guided the fatal shaft Virginia's foes, to whom for secret crimes just vengeance owes. Deserved plagues, dreading their just desert, corrupted death by Periclesian art. Him to destroy, whose well-tried courage such their heartless hearts, nor arms, nor strength could touch. Who now must heal those wounds, or stop that blood the heathen made, and drew into a flood. Who is't must plead our cause, nor trump, nor drum, nor deputation, these, alas, are dumb, and cannot speak. Our arms, though ne'er so strong, will want the aid of his commanding tongue, which conquered more than Caesar he overthrew. Only the outward frame this could subdue. The rugged works of nature, souls replete, with dull chill cold he'd animate with heat. Drawn forth of reason's limbec, in a word, Mars and Minerva both in him concurred. For arts, for arms, whose pen and sword alike, as Cato's did, may admiration strike. And to his foes, while they confess withal, it was their guilt styled him a criminal. Only this difference does from truth proceed: they in the guilt, he in the name must bleed. While none shall dare his obsequies to sing in deserved measures until time shall bring truth crowned with freedom and from danger free, to sound his praises to posterity. Here let him rest, while we this truth report: he's gone from hence unto a higher court, to plead his cause, where he by this doth know whether to Caesar he was friend or foe. Jamestown never recovered from the blow which Bacon dealt it. The location was so unhealthy that it could not attract new settlers, and though some of the houses which had been burned were subsequently rebuilt, the town's day of greatness was past. The seat of government was removed to Williamsburg, and the old settlement dropped gradually to decay. Ode to Jamestown. Old cradle of an infant world, in which a nestling empire lay, struggling a while ere she unfurled her gallant wing and soared away. All hail, thou birthplace of the glowing West! Thou seem'st the towering eagle's ruined nest. What solemn recollections throng, what touching visions rise, as, wandering these old stones among, I backward turn mine eyes, and see the shadows of the dead flit around, like spirits when the last dread trump shall sound. The wonders of an age combined, in one short moment memory supplies. They throng upon my wakened mind, as time's dark curtains rise. The volume of 100 buried years, condensed in one bright sheet, appears. I hear the angry ocean rave, I see the lonely little bark scuttling along the crested wave, freighted like old Noah's ark, as o'er the drowned earth 'twas hurled with the forefathers of another world. I see the train of exiles stand amid the desert, desolate, the fathers of my native land, the daring pioneers of fate, who braved the perils of the sea and earth, and gave a boundless empire birth. I see the sovereign Indian range, his woodland empire free as air. I see the gloomy forest change, the shadowy earth laid bare. And where the red man chased the bounding deer, the smiling labors of the white appear. I see the haughty warrior gaze, in wonder or in scorn, as the pale faces sweat to raise their scanty fields of corn, while he, the monarch of the boundless wood, by sport or hare-brained rapine wins his food. A moment, and the pageant's gone, the red men are no more, the pale-faced strangers stand alone upon the river's shore. And the proud wood king, who their art disdained, finds but a bloody grave where once he reigned. The forest reels beneath the stroke of sturdy woodman's axe, the earth receives the white man's yoke, and pays her willing tax. Of fruits and flowers and golden harvest fields, and all that nature to blithe labor yields. Then growing hamlets rear their heads, and gathering crowds expand, for as my fancy's vision spreads o'er many a boundless land, till what was once a world of savage strife teems with the richest gifts of social life. Empire to empire swift succeeds, each happy, great, and free. One empire still another breeds, a giant progeny, destined their daring race to run, each to the regions of yon setting sun. Then as I turn my thoughts to trace the fount whence these rich waters sprung. I glance towards this lonely place, and find it these rude stones among. Here rest the sires of millions, sleeping round. The Argonauts, the golden fleece that found, their names have been forgotten long. The stone, but not a word remains. They cannot live in deathless song, nor breathe in pious strains. Yet this sublime obscurity to me more touching is than poet's rhapsody. They live in millions that now breathe, they live in millions yet unborn, and pious gratitude shall wreath as bright a crown as e'er was worn, and hang it on the green-leaved bough that whispers to the nameless dead below. No one that inspiration drinks, no one that loves his native land, no one that reasons, feels, or thinks, can mid these lonely ruins stand, without a moistened eye, a grateful tear of reverent gratitude to those that moulder here. The mighty shade now hovers round of him whose strange yet bright career is written on this sacred ground, in letters that no time shall sere, who in the old world smote the turbaned crew, and founded Christian empires in the new. And she, the glorious Indian maid, the tutelary of this land, the angel of the woodland shade, the miracle of God's own hand, who joined man's heart to woman's softest grace, and thrice redeemed the scourges of her race. Sister of charity and love, whose life blood was soft pity's tide, dear goddess of that sylvan grove, flower of the forest, nature's pride, he is no man who does not bend the knee, and she no woman who is not like thee. Jamestown and Plymouth's hallowed rock to me shall ever sacred be. I care not who my themes may mock, or sneer at them and me. I envy not the brute who here can stand without a thrill for his own native land. And if the recreant crawl her earth, or breathe Virginia's air, or in New England claim his birth from the old pilgrims there, he is a bastard if he dare to mock old Jamestown's shrine or Plymouth's famous rock. James Kirk Paulding. End of section 13.